What's up, everybody? It's your girl Candy from Candy Heart Doll Room, and welcome to my very first full-length video here on this channel. I will say that if you do already know me, I'm mostly known for my shorts and my little collection showing off here, but I thought since I have a YouTube channel, why not make a full-length video? This being my first, of course, I'm going to center it about my personal favorite type of doll, Raggedy Ann. When I tell people I collect Raggedy Anns, or they just see me holding one out in public because I do that, other than the annoying Annabelle comments, people will be like, oh, my grandma has one of those, or I used to have one of those, or like, it's in the attic of some sort, yeah. And then I just was like, they can be worth something. While I'm not really a gal that sells her collection, or at least plans to for a really, really, really long time, I still find it pretty cool knowing the value of my doll collection. And a common thing I hear is that, oh guys, look, I have the original Raggedy Ann, or I have a really, really old Raggedy Ann, like I have an antique. And while yes, that often can happen, well, maybe not often, it really depends on what your Raggedy looks like, could determine how old it is. So in this video, I will be showcasing the different types of Raggedies and just seeing how old they could be. I'm going to start with probably the most common thing I see when people show me or post their Raggedy dolls wondering how old they are and what they're like. These types of dolls. Now, this isn't necessarily a brand, but this is from a pattern by the McCall's craft company. I'm not so sure about them other than this. While I can never say for sure what year a specific doll was made, the pattern was made around the 1940s, and it was very, very, very popular. Like, I see these more than licensed everywhere. Like, you can tell by their just black eyes, zigzag eyelashes. Sorry, she has a stain. She came that way. And sometimes they're embroidered, sometimes they're painted on. I have a load of variants. I can't even show them all in this video by how many I have. Here's a smaller one. And people even got creative with these. I really like when they make, like, this is a blonde dolly. So you can never really tell unless, like, somebody wrote the year on it or something, because these are handmade dolls. Or you may know the person who made it somehow, and they'll say when they made it. It's likely made by a seamstress between the years of 1940 to all the way until, I don't even know if they keep making this pattern or not, but yeah, this I still have to do extra research. They even made like 3-foots. This is a 3-foot McCall's. They have bigger eyes, and they're pretty tall, about the size of a toddler. A little taller than a toddler, actually. Probably like a kid 6 to 7. So I don't have an exact answer for the handmade ones. It could really depend on where your handmade might have come from. It could really be worth anything. Yes, the bigger ones probably more because they are absolutely gigantic. But not as gigantic as something I'm going to show you later. But I've gotten pretty good deals on them though. But then again, I'm a master haggler. Next, I'm going to get to probably what I would consider the most popular out of the mass-produced dolls. And if the handmade dolls did exist, they would be the most popular, most seen dolls, most likely to be found in your grandma's house or your mother's attic or something. These dolls are the Knickerbocker Toys Raggedy dolls. They held the license for quite a while, so I'm not surprised how common these things are. These faces are definitely recognizable. This is actually probably my second Raggedy Ann I ever got in my collection, so I thought I'd show her for that reason as well. This brand of Raggedy dolls were produced from 1963 until 1983. So they had a 20-year-long run, and they were very successful around this time. Like, really successful. While most Knickerbocker dolls do look like this, minus a few material differences, I'm actually going to get to that later. Maybe they'll have smaller pupils and stuff depending on their size, but I was notified also that my wig keeps getting in my face. I was notified by somebody at the Raggedy Ann revival effort. I don't know which of you was behind the screen, but they told me about the Centennial Raggedy's, which look like this, but they were made by the same company. And I don't have any in person. I actually don't have any of that type yet. but I was like wondering why they looked that way despite being made by the same company, but now I know. Thank you so much for that information. Another little fun fact about these dolls is that depending on where it was made, the materials or color of the materials may be different. For example, this guy was made in, it says it on the tag, said it was made in Malaysia, and I checked most of my dolls. Usually the dolls made in Malaysia have this thicker, more orangish yarn and much more pale skin. And this one over here, I actually haven't looked in a while. Let me peek. This one was made in Taiwan, and it's much thinner yarn, slightly more tan. Maybe I'll get into more detail some other time here. But yeah, these guys, the thing is, when it comes to value for these guys, I usually would say for these size dolls, 10, 12 maybe. But then again, I also tend to get deals and stuff. Some people may not know how much these are worth. Enough of my shopping habits. I would say 10 to 12, maybe 15 together. Yeah, because these could be anywhere from, I would think these could be anywhere from the 60s to the 80s. Although this is also a 16-inch doll, and these guys came in loads of sizes. I've seen 12 inches, 24 inches. Some are really small, like this one right here. And they do have, I believe they do have smaller dolls, but don't quote me on that, though. And some of them are actually massive. I've got one of the giant ones here. Yeah. Oh, she's a little heavy. Oh, whoa, okay. Your head's very floppy. Now, I know what you guys are going to say in the comments, but I can assure you, she's mass-produced. I actually have 3 of the exact same version of this. Now, she's not the biggest one they made, surprisingly, but this is the biggest one I have, along with the other 2 of this one right here. And I know there's some that are 4 feet. I think there's a 5 foot. Look, I haven't fully seen the bigger ones. I don't know if I've seen a 5 foot one. I have seen a 4 foot one that definitely looks like it's made by Knickerbocker. And there is also that 6 foot one that I completely forgot what that was made for. I would guess a store display. Yeah, see, I, who have been collecting Raggedy's for almost 3 years, maybe 4, I gotta count. Okay, I counted. It's actually going to be 4 years. I don't even still know everything. So you guys are free to tell me any random facts in the comments as well. But yeah, this is a 3 foot Knickerbocker doll. These things can run very high on price though. These can be worth a lot. Like, I look online and see them. This lady over here, I forgot how much she was, but I know she was pretty expensive. And they run in the hundreds, and if you look it up online. Oh no, she's losing her bonnet. The antique store I got her in gave her this bonnet. I don't know if she ever had it before. You are slumping, girl. Actually, this is why I keep her in a chair, because she's very floppy. But I love this one right here. I adore her. Moving on to the more modern Raggedy's. After Knickerbocker had their license, Applause later got the license to the dolls, along with Hasbro, but I think that's a little bit much to discuss. If you want me to do an intricate history on Raggedy Ann, I could totally do that. I just wasn't so sure because there's a lot of videos like that. Okay, so here's an example of an Applause Raggedy. This is a 12-inch one, but they did definitely come much bigger. And so this could be anywhere from 1983 to a slightly more modern time. Don't really remember when they stopped making these side gazes, but I would say this could be worth around the same price as a Knickerbocker doll. I think I would be sure. I mean, this is a little one, so it really depends. Here's another example. Oh, so I'm sorry. Here's another example of an Applause doll. This one does have the year on its tag. That's up on her ankle right there. She is actually from 1991. And this one's, I think this is a 24-inch. I have an Andy as well. Uh-oh, one just fell off my lap. I'll pick her up in a sec. I think these forward gazes one definitely feel like 90s to me. Like, maybe they were in the 80s. Look, Applause I don't have nearly as much knowledge on. This one could probably be worth more. Like, knowing it's bigger, it could be like 20, 25, I think. I'm not really I'm not an expert on value, despite the fact that I'm making this video, but I just thought it'd be fun to talk about anyway. This is an example of a more modern applause doll. This is the one that I often see when going around in thrift stores. For that reason, I have two of these. Just one is up at the top shelf that I cannot reach. There she is, well, the third one to the right in the puppet theater with her fellow Andy and two Aurora ones and some banks. So these guys, I would say, on the way more modern, but I keep forgetting the 2000s, it's like 20 years ago. That's pretty nuts. But yeah, yeah, this one probably isn't worth as much money, I would think. No, I'm sorry, girl. This is not as an insult. I love every Raggedy. But yeah, this is the one you'll most likely find in a thrift store, I believe. Like, less of a chance you'll find it in an antique store, unless, I could be wrong there. But she definitely looks newer. Before I move on to the next one, I did find an Andy that I found way long after I found that Ann. He's definitely looks like he's in older condition. Either he's been played with a lot or just could be from like 1983 in that area there. So yeah, this guy is older. So it's Applause has had it for a while, and it does go back to the 80s. Now I'm going to go to the most modern dolls from Aurora, which I did mention briefly earlier, but now we're going to go into more detail. This is my very first Raggedy Ann. She definitely has a little bit of, she might need a little TLC if she's losing some hair. But this was my first Raggedy Ann that actually came from an Amazon order. So yeah, kind of like what I said there, this Raggedy Ann is still available, as well as Andy, to buy today, as well as a 12-inch variant. So you can still purchase these guys today. If you want to start a Raggedy collection but can't really find them, or just want a Raggedy but can't find them anywhere, this is the way to go. Go grab one on Amazon. Aurora did hold the license since 2012, and there were many different outfits, many different variants of the dolls. And I gotta say, they're actually worth quite a decent amount. Like, I go look up on the internet to see if I can find any other Aurora variants, and they can go up to pretty high prices. Like, I can't even find most of them for sale anywhere. It's pretty, so if you do have an Aurora doll with a different outfit, it could be worth something. Or you just like to know the fact that you have a discontinued doll, like I do. Okay, I'm just going to give a quick little shout out. Oh dear, you're dressed, I'm sorry. Quick little shout out to the Play School Hasbro dolls that were made around the same time, like around in the 80s as well, that I think probably like this one also could be worth like 10 to 12 bucks, I think. A lot of the times they're still in the box. So it's, I do still have some in the box, but they're way packed on the shelf and I don't really feel like moving them. Yeah, this is the Play School doll that usually, like I said, usually can be found in a box, but often are out of the box. I do see them quite a lot. They're cute. I like them. Okay, I'm going to finally move back to the older dolls. I'm going to go back from before Knickerbocker to Georgene Novelties, which also had the license for a really long time. Now, I brought some here with me. I can barely read the tags on them. It looks like to me that it says 1945 to 1947, which is post-war / the Silsby era of Georgene dolls. Now, these guys, I think these guys are worth quite a lot. These were come right after the war, so these guys are from the 40s, from what it looks like on the tag. Honestly, I'm gonna say at least these guys could be worth 40 bucks, like at the least. Maybe a little cheaper depending on like the time and stuff. These guys are, I think at the latest, from 1947. And their hair, the hair can also add to the value. This was the most commonly used orange hair, but some had red hair, and the rarest is definitely the strawberry blonde, which I have a hard time finding pictures. I don't have one, and I don't have many pictures. I might put one here if I find it while editing. This is my first Georgene that I found, like, shoved in a shelf. She does not have a tag. I'm sorry for flashing her back, but she unfortunately does not have a tag, so I cannot tell what year she's from. She is a smaller variant of these guys, probably around a similar time. So yeah, she could probably be worth around the same amount. Maybe a little cheaper, but yeah. The funny thing about this era of Raggedy's, this specific era that I'm holding, is that they are the exact same doll, just different clothing. So if you took off their clothes and swapped them, you wouldn't be able to really tell the difference. Well, I can, because I know my Ann has this derpy hooves eyes thing going on. But to somebody who doesn't know anything, you could probably fool them. The older Georgene Novelties did look pretty different from that. Like, they had like black outline noses. They looked like this. These are the oldest Georgene dolls. That definitely, we're getting into the hundreds, y'all. We're getting into where I would say would be worth at least $100 of the stuff, of the cash. Now I'm going to get to the Molly E. Outfitters dolls. These cute little ones that have a little side gaze and were used illegally. So these were made by Molly E. Doll Outfitters from 1935 to 1938, it was said. And I've got one, y'all. I have one of these right here. I have to just handle her with a lot of care because her leg is hanging off a thread and she's old. Here she is. This is my Molly E. doll. These can be, I think, well worth over $500. These guys are really old. They were controversial. Not many were made because of the fact that they were, you know, illegal and had a lawsuit attached to them, and they had to stop being produced after such a short time. They are actually the easiest out of the really, really rare Raggedy's for me to find personally, but they're still worth a whole lot just knowing the history behind them. If you go on eBay and find some, they're really like sky high. It's almost lucky if you find them for at least like $150, which is kind of how much this lady was, which was kind of a deal. It's a deal if you find a dolly like this for like mid $100. And this right here that I'm going to bring up now is this is another 1930s knockoff Raggedy, but this one was, I don't think it used the Raggedy Ann name. I think they were known as Bud and Sis. This is a Bud doll because he has pants, and back then, all the boy dolls had pants. So these were straight up knockoffs. Like, I mean, they have the triangle nose and the lip and oh wait, no, they're plaid legs. Plaid legs, the floppy limbs, the yarn hair, bald in the back, and a very much painted face. So yeah, these also are worth hundreds of bucks because they were straight up knockoffs of the Raggedy's. And personally, I just find that and the Molly E, I just find them so interesting because they are technically fakies at the time. Nowadays, there's really no such thing as a fake Raggedy Ann, at least to me. I mean, there's like antique stores that have those like folk style Raggedy dolls that I never have any idea where they came from. But yeah. We're gonna get to the dolls now that are so old, so rare that I don't even have them. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard. It's hard to get your hands on these guys. Now I'm good. Okay. So oftentimes when you see just a generic Raggedy Ann, you have the urge to think, oh my gosh, this is the original Raggedy Ann. No way, I've got a valuable item. This is actually, I'm about to bring up what is the true original Raggedy Ann. This being the original licensed Raggedy Ann. The original licensed Raggedy Ann is from a company called Voland, which started producing them in the very early 20s. Could have sworn maybe 1918, but Andy was born in the 20s. So I'm just going to say early 1920s. And they held the license for a decent amount of time. You can find them on eBay, but they are worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Okay, maybe not thousands and thousands, but thousands of dollars. Like, if you go look in your attic and find a doll that looks like this in there, that's a pretty friggin' expensive doll you got. Like, very, very valuable. Probably one of the most valuables. There's like one right behind it in the licensed category that I'm going to get to. Before I get to that though, something that's also insanely valuable and rare are these giant Raggedy's. That, fun fact, I went over to, while on vacation, I went over to the lovely Rachel Grace Hoffman's turn of the century antique shop and got to hold a pair of them, which was crazy. But yeah, they're like giant 3-foot Voland dolls, which I heavily doubt that many people would have that in their attic, but I thought they were worth a mention. For me, what I think is the most valuable, most expensive, most rare licensed Raggedy has to be the one from Exposition, which were very short-lived. I can barely ever find a listing for them, and the one time I did, it was like $7,000. They're super cute looking. I really think they're sweet. They have reproductions, but these genuine ones are impossible to find. Like, if you have one of these, man, do I envy you. Just kidding. They were only a thing in 1935, around the same time the Molly E thing was happening, and Georgene Novelties got the license like immediately after, so I think. But it wasn't really, it was very, very short-lived. So that's why it's so rare. And if y'all can find one, congratulations. That's crazy. I consider you an MVP in the Raggedy collecting, or just, well, even if you're not a Raggedy collector. I would like to thank you all for watching my first full-length video. I had a lot of fun talking, even if some of it got jumbled. I just like talking in my YouTube videos. I love talking about Raggedy Ann. So while this is pretty different from my usual content, usually, again, I post shorts, I would love to know what you guys thought of this video, what you guys want to see from me in other videos as well, and I will see you guys soon. Goodbye!